Alright guys, what's going on? Here today with another tutorial video. I recently posted this one on YouTube, however I did forget to put the commentary in it, so this is an updated version. So if you've watched my video up until now, we've done the gravel, which you'll see promptly directly above the area I'm working on now, which is the foreground. So today we're going to be using a little different technique. If you can see the video here, I'm using a different brush. I am personally using a Tree and Texture Series brush from Rosemary & Co. I like the quality of it, and that's how I was taught to do these type of effects. And so that's the brush that I'm comfortable using, but you can use a variety of different brushes to get this effect. I mean, if you have an old brush, if you have a fan brush, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And so the technique that I'm using is I am using a medium. I'm mixing cobalt blue, ivory black, and a little bit of dioxazine purple in with some brown. And then I'm mixing all of that in with some liquid. And I do need to post a video on how to mix this paint because there is a special technique called glazing that I'm using here. What I'm doing is I am taking about 70 to 75% liquid and I am adding paint to the liquid by Winsor & Newton. And what's this doing? Well, this is giving us the effect that you can see here. Essentially, it is forming a glaze that sits over the top of my base layer or the painting, the block in that I've done. And this gives us some really nice effects like you can see here. It makes it look like it has depth, and it doesn't completely cover that background. And what that does is that sets us up to make some really good details here. And so I think that, you know, knowing how to do this glazing technique is something that every artist should know how to do, and it's very important because I use it in so many different things that I do. And this is just one of the ways that you can do this. Like I said, there are other ways, but this is the way that I'm doing it now. And if you'll notice, essentially what this glaze is also doing is it's also bringing out the back color a lot more. It's making the back color seem a lot more realistic and dark, if you will, for lack of a better word. And one other special thing that I want to point out is that darker spots that I blocked in underneath the Huskies that I'm painting currently, they were meant to be there, and they are actually supposed to be the shadows from the Huskies. And so when we put this glaze with liquid, the liquid glaze that I'm doing right now, over this darker spot, it actually brings out the darkness, while also tying in the darkness to the rest of the painting. You know, so it leaves out that, you know, that tedious work that you have to do if you didn't do this with blending and all that. But you could just do this like I'm doing right now and save yourself trouble and time while also making it look extremely realistic in the end. And you know, there still has to be details put in on this glaze that I'm doing, and the good thing about liquid is it actually speeds up drying time of paint. So this layer that I'm putting on right now will probably be touch dry in about, I don't know, 12 to 15, maybe 18 hours. I'd say a day for sure, which is awesome because I can do this, I can go to bed, I can wake up in the morning, I can go do, you know, grocery shopping, go to the gym, you know, do some schoolwork, whatever I need to do, and then I can come back to it later on and I can continue to work on it. Whereas if I was just using dry oil paint rather right out of the tube, I mean, this thing would be sitting here for 5 days before I could work on it, or, you know, maybe 2 days before I could start working on it. So this liquid really gives you the upper hand, and I would highly suggest this this specific technique for a lot of different things. And I'm going to post some more tutorials on how I use this and, you know, how I was taught to use it. And, you know, this is one of the things that I am extremely grateful that I learned as a young artist, because this has helped me further my skills and my painting so much. And, you know, it's something that I think that every artist should have in their arsenal for a tool that they can use to make their paintings look realistic, if that's the effect you're going to. So I'm going to let this video play out a little bit. I apologize for the blur. I'm using my Nikon, what I usually use just to take photos. I don't really have a camcorder right now, but it still does the trick, you know, just trying to be cheap. I'm still on a budget, just like everyone else, but I guess I fixed it there. But we're going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I'm going to let this video play out, and I'll make some commentary here in a little bit. You know, one thing I actually just thought about was, if you notice that when I'm tapping on this panel, I'm tapping very lightly. And the reason being is I can do that because I am continually picking up paint, that liquid glaze mixture that I'm using, still using the brown, or the burnt umber, the cobalt blue, dioxazine purple, and ivory black mixture with the liquid. Remember, it's 75% liquid. And what I'm doing is I'm actually picking up paint on the brush like every, I don't know, 3 to 7 taps, I would say. And the reason being is because if you don't have a lot of paint on that brush, the marks are going to start to run together, and you don't want that in this specific circumstance because you want kind of a gritty, grainy look to this. It's going to make it look real, it's going to make it pop, but to do that, you have to have a lot of paint on the brush. But at the same time, you don't want to have too much paint because then you're going to be stuck with a big blob of paint on there that you can't really get off without smudging. So that's just something to keep in mind. Always make sure you're reloading your brushes, but also trying to find that balance between too much and too little paint. You don't want either, but you also want an in-between. So just keep that in mind while you're painting here. Alright guys, so that pretty much does it for this tutorial. I hope you guys learned something today. This is a really cool technique that you can utilize for a lot of different things. Stay in touch with my YouTube channel, stay in touch with my Etsy page. There's going to be more tutorials to come, and I'm going to do some full paid tutorials here in the future. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you again later.